Some players just have it. I don't really know what it is, and I don't know if we ever will, but it's that indescribable factor in a player's game that just makes them special and sets them apart from the rest of the pack that may be equally as talented as them, but they just don't have it. And I think Austin Reaves has it. Is he the most talented player in the league? No, definitely not. Don't get me wrong, he's super skilled all around. He's an unreal shot maker. He knocks down shots at a high clip. He plays defense. He play makes, finishes creatively, and is also pretty athletic. So yeah, he's pretty damn talented. But I think there's something up in his mind that blends all this together in a way that most people would have never expected him to do, at least at the NBA level. So from his skills to his mindset, AR is a really interesting case to study. Let's break down his entire game under the microscope. So starting off with transition and attacking, one of the first things you'll notice is how aggressively he attacks, especially off of closeouts. I think a lot of players overthink what's going to happen once they get there down in that lane, which is very valid, probably even smart for many players. But he knows how talented he is at adapting around the rim at high speeds and also making these last minute passes if needed. So he's not too worried about it, and he just goes. And not only does this help him beat those initial defenders on the closeout, but also beat that late help defender to the rim to get there with a head of steam and raise up using that speed. It's never like an, oh shit, there's a 7-foot Rudy Gobert entering my driving line, let me rethink this. No, it's a full trust of his skill and his ability to adapt to whatever happens here. And although he clearly has the ability to play as a ball dominant player, he comes off a lot of pick and rolls and play makes that way. When you consider who he's playing with, he's mostly a catch and go player. But again, he's making sure that that's literally a catch and go. It's not a catch, wait, and then go. He's taking advantage of every millisecond because that opening won't be there for long as that defender's closing out. It does help though that he's a decently high volume 40% shooter from 3, so if they don't close out hard, he's letting it fly. Once again, without second thought here. It's definitely a theme. And this means harder closeouts because they don't want him to shoot, and thus easier for him to get by this defender. And honestly, as you can see here, you'd be surprised at how often just ripping through and going by your defender works if you don't stop at the first sign of resistance. On these, he's really getting downhill with intent and not stopping as soon as he gets some contact, but rather pushing through that because he just won't let himself be stopped.
He's going to go all the way to the back. Reaves, Westbrook, 5 to shoot. He'll dash. Shooting night. Better.
And we're talking about aggression, but yet there's a calmness to his game too. Being able to slow down a bit during that aggressive attack to get a feel for what's going on around him and bring that help defender's momentum towards him for a moment. Attacking with speed, but in a way that still allows him to stop and work out of pivots. Then when he does get into a stop, he doesn't get stuck in quicksand from decelerating at a high speed. He's right into his pumps and his pivots to take advantage of that defender being a bit out of control. He's also really talented at pushing up the court in transition, but still looking composed and calm, which allows him to adjust at the last second, see in his periphery, and much more.
Horton Tucker, great pass to Reaves. Contact count.
He's good at passing up a good pass for a better one. Or passing up one of these quick closeout attacks like we talked about for another action he sees unfolding. So in this case, he actually may hold the ball, wait for this pick and roll, and then play off of that. This calmness is definitely impressive. Also notice these toss-out dribbles that he uses sometimes. I love these because it's a way to just kind of throw that ball out there. He knows he's going to beat that defender to the spot, so he catches up to it before they can.
Down the middle. The last 3.5 minutes. Davis.
If you can be safe with this, it's a really good technique. Then in terms of playing off this hang, he gets into the cross off of this a lot, but he's not really relying on shifting the defender way out of position, rather just getting kind of a small advantage here. And when he does shift defenders, it's not like he's relying on hitting these super shifty positions. He's more so using timing, utilizing his eyes like right here, changing his speeds, and even using that threat to blow by him aggressively. Like on this move on Giannis, it's not the most fluid crossover in the world. It's not bad, but I'd guess he really gets Giannis here because of his ability to potentially explode here. So then he's really violent with that step on the cross. And again, he probably gets Giannis so well on this because as a defender, he's worried about that drive first. You're never going to set up a crossover if you can't drive out of that. Now, moving on a bit to transition, and the big thing here is that most times, he just goes. He takes off. As soon as a teammate gets the board or as he gets it, he's trying to get every inch he can on the defense. But an underrated part of this is being able to sprint at damn near full speed, catch, and again, find that calmness to finish in a usually pretty tough way. It's like whether he has the ball or not, he runs really hard, but only up to the point where he knows he can slow down and make a high quality, controlled decision and movement out of it. Whether it's being able to sharply euro out of this speed, make an on-target pass, finish and control, he's found that perfect balance between going at 110% speed and on the flip side going so slow that it doesn't give you much of an advantage. Also, as he's flying up the court, he's really good at maintaining his speed as he spins, wraps, or whatever move he may use to react to these reaching defenders. Helps him get there quicker. And then lastly, he's always a threat to score. He's not attacking in transition to pass, but to score, and then playing off whatever happens from there. And speaking of passing, let's break this down a little bit. So because of how hard he attacks, the defense is usually sprinting over late and scrambling a bit to get there, which means that teammates are pretty often going to be open. So he's actually setting up a lot of this court vision by being so good at attacking the rim. And he's excellent at continuing the speed of his drive through the pass. So he doesn't necessarily have to slow down to make the pass, but he also can't. He's really good at being patient to wait that extra half second to let his teammate get to more open space or for the help defender to step over a little bit more. He's also crazy aware. Especially at a young age, it's impressive how much he's always noticing cutting teammates, even before they're open.
Reaves, little scene since intermission. James gets the pass.
Maybe teammates who pop open even after he begins his shot. Also, he's able to see teammates even when that peripheral vision is blurred a bit by defenders on his hip. Then in transition, he has a really good idea of where his teammates are running their lanes, but more importantly, their speed and their angles. This allows him to deliver on-point passes in stride to their preferred spot, which is easier when you're playing with LeBron, but it still ain't simple. This again takes that composure to be at such a high speed and have full awareness of everything developing around you. Alright, now on to his shot making. And I'd actually say he's one of the better shot makers in the league, in my opinion. Doesn't matter if he's out of rhythm, falling backwards, switching hands, whatever the situation may be, he's able to make these shots. And it's hard to give tips on how to do this other than just training for these a bit sometimes. Preparing for imperfect shots, especially around this closer area because you never know what the game is going to throw at you. Also notice how he's good at shooting from bad passes, kind of reaching for the ball, getting it back up into the middle point and shooting from there. So again, working through imperfection.
On the schedule, and the Lakers tied for ninth, starting.
And then in the mid-range, he creates a ton of contact. So sometimes he'll pair it with a spin, to bump, and then protect and separate back. And other times he'll just create this contact and then immediately lean back. This helps him draw fouls, of course, but also just creates separation without having to rely on his athleticism. And yes, this is a tough shot, but with his shot-making ability, it's actually very manageable since he can kind of hang, find the composure, and locate the rim, and then shoot. And honestly, this isn't a shot where he needs to create contact. He pulls this out a lot. It's kind of like that Steve Nash runner, but even a bit exaggerated. He's just taking a big last stride, planting that foot hard, letting the defender's momentum carry them past, and then is obviously very comfortable leaning back to get it off of space. Then this shot making also applies around the rim with his finishing. And I mean it when I say I don't know if I can find 5 players better in the league at adjusting in midair and still finishing. Sounds crazy, but just watch some of these. His ability to forcefully adjust the ball as he's floating in the air to get momentum on it, to avoid defenders, to create angles for his finish, even as his body's moving the other way or he's getting bumped, and even falling down, is unreal. And this ability to just adjust in midair also allows him to make passes. It's almost like every time he gets up into the air, he just finds this stillness. He's once again very composed. You can see him keeping his eyes on the rim. And obviously with a lot of practice, this has become a staple skill for him. Then defensively, I'm not going to do a full breakdown here, but understand that this is really how he got his foot in the door. Obviously, he's a crazy talented offensive player, but as an undrafted NBA player, you're probably going to need to start off on the defensive side, showing your effort, showing your ability to guard good players, showing your ability to be a pest, and then start to move up offensively from there. And this isn't just the NBA. Anytime you're playing at a level where you may not be that star player, this is going to have to be a focus. So take that from him. And then lastly is his mindset. He has unbelievable drive. He just wants it more. When you talk about high motor, he has that crazy high motor. It's just more controlled. He's able to maintain that composure like we've been talking about. He knows the defense is going to try to throw him off. They're going to hit him. They probably talk shit to him, but he stays composed every time. He never mentally falls out of the play. He ends up looking crazy prepared on the biggest stages too. So again, this kind of comes back to that it factor I talked about. Do I really know what it is? There are a bunch of ingredients that I could kind of say, but I'll save that for another video. For now, make sure to stay tuned in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this breakdown, learned something from it. You can even maybe apply something to your own game. Until next time.